Next few reps, bottom person will still be in a static position. The top person moves out, circles out. Yes, you're trying to block with the leg. That's it. And see if you can catch and put me in like a stacked position. Yeah, so let's do that. You keep it, you're pressuring in. He's starting to slowly push. I want you to drag it, right? If he holds this integrity and does not let it get swatted, as this is happening, he will get moved because he's keeping he's forcing his knees tight. So he will spin, or if he keeps his dead loose, he'll just fall to one side, which is fine, right? So, but for now, bottom person, see if you can maintain this integrity, because if it falls to one side, we will have a different kind of reaction. But for now, see if you can maintain this, right? So he's pushing, I'm just moving. Because the person is shelled up, he will rotate, right? So see if you can do that to both sides. You feel the pressure coming in, just rotate. As the rotation happens, just come back to this. Yeah, try it out. Let's move on. So this kind of passing is called a Torando. Torando is basically like bullfighting, right? So this is like a famous pass. It happens in gi, it happens in no gi, but we are always just redirecting, right? So the bottom person is the bull and he is pressuring into me. So if I absorb this, he's going straight. I don't want to absorb this. So I can let go, then I've lost this connection and I can try to run away. But because I'm pressuring in and out, right, moving sideways will be difficult. So as we pressure in, he pressures out, we redirect. You see how he's starting to spin. Because he is choosing to retain guard, that makes him spin. So don't get frustrated if the spin doesn't happen. If he falls to one side, you already have side control, you have this thing, right? So now, whenever you feel this leg, it can be a one leg push, right? So it can be a one leg push. This also will let us do the same movement. So the movement is not just straight and then sideways. I'm trying to make him spin, right? Like it's like making him spin this way. So if we understand this movement and feeding off of this, we are starting to spin him. The same thing can be done. Now we are fighting with one leg maybe. We are going back to the grip fighting that we are doing. And he's starting to bring a leg in. I'll do the same movement. He wants to, so some of us where we end up fighting here and now he squares up and we are again back to this. But when we circle, I'm covering distance, but I'm also swatting him away. Right? So now when you're doing the same dirty feet drill, we are pressuring in. I'm trying to whip it out. And that's why I was saying that keep your hand free sometimes, because when you catch, you'll be able to redirect it. Yeah? So let's go back to that dirty feet drill. This time, you're not only thinking about pressuring in and making angle, you're also starting to read that whenever his legs come through, I can start spinning. And bottom person, keep it, like just play your legs, push. But the top guy is trying to spin the person in front so that you can go to north-south, either by moving yourself or spinning the person. Yeah, let's go. If there is no pressure into you, a spin will be difficult because he's not giving you that power. So if he's just keeping his leg, you just pull him back down. But if he's pressuring into you, because if you stay there, you will get moved. So you feed that power and try spinning them through. Yeah, that's a good distinction. Now, I'm going to pressure in with one side, right? Like, so we'll maybe just start off with this, right? Like, so pressure into the person. Some of you, I noticed, like when you're starting here, the bottom person is keeping it here and you're finding it difficult to pressure in, right? And you feel like you're basically not able to pressurize into the person this way. This is happening quite commonly. For now, bottom person, keep your legs slightly closer, because if you only play here, this is prime to be leg dragged all the time, right? Or you'll just make a grip and just leg drag the person. So for now, keep this little tucked in. For this is like a specific case, right? From here, I'm pressuring in and I'm learning to move the person. You see, if V stays flat, this won't work. If he stays flat, won't work. Will be difficult. But the space will also open up. He will try to stay tight and compact, so it will rotate now. Yes? So you'll just do that movement where you are individually rotating the hip. Yeah, just feel that movement once. Let's go. But here, I'm trying to, if he keeps himself compact and I rotate him, so right now see how he's falling to one side. That means he's violating that rule, and I will guard pass. So, okay guys, we are just talking about this. This can throw you off in this movement because the bottom person is not meeting the requirements of the reaction, right? So what is that reaction? Is this space can't open up, right? This person will try and play this way. Right? Vishnu is a good example. Let me show it on Vishnu. Vishnu will always play guard this way. And that's why we all know how difficult it is to pass his guard. If he does not hold on to this, right, and he opens up, this will happen, right? The moment I start moving him, this kind of space will start opening up because he's staying flat. When you're rotating him, his hips and his upper body is moving in isolation. But if he stays compact, and now when I rotate, he will spin through because he's trying to keep this space compact. If he does not, and he keeps it loose, this space will open up. Even if it doesn't fall, this space will open up. And now you will take this space, or if you want to go into our system, we will find this space, right? So, bottom person, for now, try to stay compact. This is good behavior generally, where you're trying to stay compact and keeping your knees to yourself. Right? And from here, if you can, even if you get this reaction, honestly, even if he doesn't do it, and by you doing this movement, stay flat, even if you do this and you get a reaction, this is good for you. You just need to know how to capitalize on it. Right now, we are expecting that he stays compact and he rotates, and we'll get this movement. Okay? So, just adding on to that, the same movement, please come here. So we are in this position and we were in isolation moving. See with Veej, because he's playing that guard. Right, so he'll just keep spinning. And in this approach, I'm trying to stop him at north south. That's the idea. Now, the same thing could happen with a whip, where again, in the whip, now, if he stays strong, he will spin. If he does not stay strong and violates that, he will let it fall. Yes? What is this? Okay, so now we are here. We are going one hand on the shin, the other hand going over the top, because I want this space, but he will keep it tight. So I'm going to steer this same movement, but now I'm going over and I'm steering this person. If he does not stay tight, it will just open. You can take and play what we did as fundamentals today, or we can look to get into hip pocket, because we are exposing the hip pocket. But I'm basically physically opening this out and going here. Bottom person, try to stay compact. They'll stay compact and we'll be able to rotate the person. Do it to both sides. Rotate the person. Yeah? Let's go, try it out. Yes, it's a steering, right? So it's like 1, 2. So no slow movement. This is fine. From here, if you go, rotate. Understand that you're doing against a much bigger person, so just generally more challenging. Even this much movement is good. You will now understand that if you don't know where he's going to move, you also won't necessarily bias yourself. Like you know, okay, I may go this way, or maybe he tries here and I go. Right? You will change directions, but you will have one of two options. One is he won't give you this expected movement. They will give you this open space to which you can guard pass straight away. The overall approach is trying to like force this idea that don't take that pass, and that's why we are kind of playing this. But if, like yesterday, me and Veej were doing the rounds, if Veej does not want to engage in that kind of guard play, he will let the pass happen, right? So it can be a very proactive decision from the bottom persons. So now it's up to you, right? Whether you take that space, is that a bait, or the bottom person genuinely can't play guard and you take the space, right? And then there is a battle of side control versus side control retention, like guard retention versus side control, like pass happening, right? So either of these two things will happening. But what we are trying to understand as a principle is we are applying pressure, and can you manipulate the hips with pressure? So this is a pressure-based, like pressure-based manipulation of the weight hips. Okay, so now putting it all together, we'll wrap up with this in this particular section, right? So we are again going here. If they pressure in, I can always look to redirect. I'm only playing, think of only playing the dirty feet drill in your head for now. I'm only worried about keeping his feet away, right? And till now, before we did the Torando style approach, feet away, some of you were feet away only meant this much, or maybe moving yourself. But now you understand that with pressure coming in, we can spin the person as well. Or I go one leg, one arm, he brings it, and I can maybe spin this person, or he keeps it here. I don't feel I can spin the person, I can just pull him into a stack, right? So again, put it all together. We'll just play this last time. We are playing the dirty feet drill. If you see the hip pocket open up, go for the hip pocket. But we are looking to redirect, keep the feet away from the person, and end up in north-south. Yes? Last 2 minutes maybe. Let's go. Trying to understand some movements that can help us navigate the person, or apply weight in a certain way, right? Underlying principle is everything is happening because I'm applying weight. That person does not want to be in that position. He responds to it. We redirect it, right? So that is the overarching theme. We'll look at one small reaction, which is another style of approach is I don't want to go around. Maybe that person is playing a guard that does not let me go around him, right? So we will just understand the ranges of guard, right? So this is one range where, and we will understand the range and understand the threat associated with it. In this range, when we just playing this way, the threat from him, threat from me against me is him playing guard, right? Like him sweeping me, putting me in some kind of trouble. This is the biggest threat. That's why we want to stay away, apply weight. But the moment Veej sits up, the range has changed, if you notice. Now, if I try to stay away, Veej can reach with his legs, and like suddenly I'm more reachable, more accessible. It's not just his hands anymore. In the previous case, if he tries to reach this way, he's exposing that space. But now when he is up here, him reaching is much easy, right? And see how he's starting to, basically, he can pull me back into guard. So if we shows like, so he can, again, yes. If you watched our rounds yesterday, I got caught in this multiple times because of this range of guard, right? So that is one. Or from here, he can start wrestling up now. Now he's going to take me down, expose the back, stuff like that. So that is the range. This is seated guard, that is supine guard. The other form of guard, which is not technically a guard, is if he's on his knees, right? Or yeah, this kind of position, where if I don't address this, he's going to shoot and take me down every single time. Or he can choose to go back to seated guard. So these are the three ranges that we have to deal with. And the next is the same range, but he stood up essentially. But we are looking at guard play. So he's in this. So now we will try to play here. Every time he goes supine, so once more, we are in this range. He goes seated. I can't back up because now there is no pressure into him. He will chase me, so I can't pressure into him. So that means now from supine, when he is in supine, I can physically put pressure. When he is starting to play seated, if I back off, there is no pressure into him and he can pressure into me. So the moment you feel he's seated up, so again, sorry, once more supine, he's seated, I come closer to him. So that now I'm jamming him. He can't just get up. He wants to go back. That's when I go back. Right? So he is in supine again. He sits up, I come close. I close the distance. Maybe he starts going onto his knees now. I go even closer. This is how we will manage this, right? Because now I'm crowding his hips. He doesn't feel comfortable shooting, right? So keep this as a general idea and start approaching guard passing for now. This is as a system, right? There are other ways people pass guards, right? So, but the range is still true, right? This can be applied in any approach, where here I want to pressure. I don't want to just engage. Sorry, I don't want to just engage. I'm here. He sits up. I'm actually coming closer to him. He wants distance. Yes. If he stays seated up, I'll stay here. I'll crowd him. Yes. Now I'm just crowding him. So this is one approach. If you understand this, now anytime he is in seated, we are comfortable when the person is supine. For now, say we understand the system, we want the person to go supine. So whenever he's in seated, he wants to get close. I want to step in deep and put him back into this position. I don't step shallow. I don't step here where he is going to entangle. I'm going to step deep and almost hit him with my knee, right? And he is doing the right thing by keeping his knees up, right? So another reaction that can happen is I don't want his knees pointing up. I want him pointing to one side. That is just one specific way, right? So when I step in, I'm putting him weight on one side. So I'm going into knee cut. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the knee cut usually use play from when they're seated.
Yes.
And
not when they're supine. And this is something that I personally have been, like, I always try to force a knee cut when they're playing supine. So when they're playing supine and we try to play knee cut, we get caught in this. Make sense? Right? Not necessarily heel hook, but like just off balancing me, and now he's in the whole problem that we are trying to negate. I get caught up in this. So again, if he's supine, I play at a range. He's seated up, I step in deep, and now I have a better chance, right? And of course, there will be a lot more because there is a lot more connection. So we will have to navigate this. It's not that straightforward because I'm giving him connection. So he'll also latch on to me in some way, but it's not at his terms, but at my terms. That's the whole idea, right? So from here, we'll start the drill with just him seated up. I'm stepping in deep and see how I'm almost hitting him with my knees. and I want to immediately capture his knee on the outside so that I can manipulate his hips in some way. I need some control basically, right? So when I'm going in, I'm stepping deep and keeping my hand here and keeping some grip here. So I'm going deep in this position. We just choosing to play in this fashion. Some people can, you will find this also as a very common reaction where they just bring this in, and we will have to navigate this. We won't look at passing this today, but we just want to get to this position, like a knee cut position, right? From here, we'll just do one simple pass where he doesn't like this pressure. So he'll start physically pushing it away with both hands. Notice, so push, push, V. So see how I'm falling down, and this, so even if you don't recover for now, so I'm here, he's starting to push, his top knee is getting crushed. As this happens, my left arm is trying to go over into north-south, right? So I don't spend time here. So as he's pushing, I'm going to north-south. We can find ourselves into our hip pocket or some side control, but this is what we'll do as a simple pass, where he's seated up. Understand that I won't start here. It is, I will be deep in this position, right? So I'm deep, he goes, right? And I'm staying heavy. He starts pressuring in, I pass, right? Some details about the knee cut specifically. We are playing this specifically into a knee shield where he pressures my knee. I'm going across, yes, and from here I'm throwing my left arm over as my hip starts to cover, and I can end up in north-south. Either he'll give me this hip pocket, or maybe you play like a side control of this sort. Yeah, there will be a battle here again. Yes, let's go. We went over it. So if I just step shallow, Veej can either play guard, he'll pull me into something, or what Veej also does, like he'll cut an angle. Now I'm at a disadvantage, he'll play wrestling against, he'll wrestle up basically. So when we step deep, something needs to happen, right? Not just coming close. I'm stepping deep and kind of knocking him into the hips. And we want this pressure going into this person. That's why they'll feel like removing this. So don't put your foot or knee into the pocket straight away. You want to actually pressure into this person. And yes, so he doesn't like it, he's bringing the knee in. When this starts coming in, you go along with it and go hip out. There is a point where you're away from him. And from this position, we circle back. Right? So you're kind of knocking, you're not knocking, but you're pressuring into the person with this. Yes. So we are going into that. Deep. This arm will shoot. This is actually the most fundamental thing we'll do as a knee cut. But just looking at two options. I'm going to shoot into this underhook, and from here, I'm passing through. It is slightly different. It's more like Veej is giving me these options. So Veej come this side. Maybe he switch. I put my underhook and pass. So this is a very smooth, like a simple drill to do. And this works at the highest level. You will see people just like diving through. It's the same movement. So you can do this as a drill. And then the next one is where he's actually staying more tight, compact. He's maybe keeping things tight. So I have to fight here. And now he's pressuring in, and I don't have an underhook yet. Yes? So work with that. We want the underhook before we pass sometimes, but sometimes we may not have it, so we'll end up in north-south into our hip pocket. Yeah? Let's go. Right? So this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to throw my leg over, and because I have this arm caught, I can lock him in a triangle. This is one of the strongest submission because I'm attacking from the back, which basically lets us do an RNC. But right now he has broken that, or I myself have proactively broken that chest to back alignment. So I don't have an RNC, but I can do a strangle using my legs because he's closer to my legs. So that's the idea. Seated head and arm. I have this leg free, so this will go over the arm. So when it goes over, I'm going to throw and catch. Now I don't need this hand anymore because my leg will control his head. So I'll let go and I'll post. Yes, I've just made a lock. We try to wriggle out of there, maybe slip down. So there is space. So here, I'm just trying to keep him in this position. From here, I'm going to scoot behind, right? So that I'm making more connection with his neck, with my calf. So I'm going over and I keep this connection. This arm, if it stays low, this is good for Veej. I want to keep it up. So right now I'm doing two things with this one arm. I'm controlling this leg as well as monitoring his elbow, right? So sometimes you'll have to fight this lot more than controlling this. So you will have to do two things with this one arm. From here, while this battle is happening, I will just do like a light lockup. Now I can focus on this because this leg is secured. It's not a submission. Just like any triangle, first we do a light lockup. From here, he wants to defend by bringing his elbows down. I want to bring it up first with my elbow, right? And we can, this is called like a wrist to wrist grip, right? Or also called a suicide grip because it's like you're slitting the wrist. This is called that, right? So we are going into this position where I'm controlling this elbow and the wrist with my chest. Now he can't pull his arm out. This is a good time. So once I have this wrist grip, he can't, we try to pull this arm, it'll be difficult. So now I can relinquish this control, again go back. I have to unlock because I want to adjust, right? So I scoot back and now I lock up again. This time it will be deeper, right? So from this position, I start squeezing and we'll get a submission, okay? So I'm catching, posting, because now I can move. I can use this to do a hip escape and move up and lock up with light triangle. Immediately going wrist to wrist grip, and I'm controlling this elbow as well. Notice how I'm controlling this elbow, right? From here, I can keep this and scoot up. We will scoot up straight away. From here, I'll hold this leg from the outside and pull it in. Right, so this just got tighter on the neck here. I pull it up and then we can squeeze. There will be a little bit of space. This is what you are trying to manage by making this tighter. Like I have arm and head and arm control. From here, I can just slide into this position. There are a few ways. If he is on his side, we will do it this way. If he is staying flat, we pick them up. If we are trying to force this, right? From here, starting to set. South, he's staying strong, so I'm not able to isolate these things. So from here, I'm pulling him up, getting into a seated head and arm. If required, I'll scoot back. From this position, I'm shooting my heel over, capturing this hip escape, make an angle. First a light lock. Now I want to fight this. I'm always on my elbow here. Hip escape, go higher up on this strangle. From this position, pull this knee, ankle up. Now I'm just trying to make it tighter, right? So you will understand. And from here, we are squeezing, trying to get the submission. And the range that we are playing in, this is the range we want to play, where he can't attack me and I can apply weight onto him. If I go closer, he makes grips, so I have to make sure I somehow free myself and get back into this position. If he starts seating up, this is where I go deep and I put him in these kind of positions. We looked at a knee cut off of this, right? That was just one small bit, and we will, in the coming few class weeks, we'll expand on that more. But this is where we spend most of our time, where we are learning to go to north-south, find the hip pocket. That is the core objective. From today, we'll started looking at how to manipulate someone using a Torando style, or basically steering the hips, or a bullfight essentially, right? Like he's trying to pressure as a bull. I'm trying to redirect the person. Again, you saw one reaction can happen where he just flops to one side, giving you that space, or he spins through, where he spins through, and we get into this position. Yeah, so that will take some time to develop that feel, but as long as you are applying pressure and you are staying connected, you will get some reaction between the two, maybe, right? So now you have to work on being precise with on how you apply that. We looked at a specific case where we go over the top and we start isolating, right? So either we go through the step, or we are able to spin and go back into this position. So those were just like a few ways to manipulate the hip. But overall, we are making frames, playing the dirty feet drill and making them post away. Or we also looked at capturing the ankles and stacking them. And in this, the drill that we did, either a stack will happen, or as they are starting to square up, a redirection will happen, right? So now, just generally, if we look at things, right, maybe we are not focused on keeping distance. Maybe we got here and he's starting to, I'm putting pressure, right? If I don't put pressure, he doesn't feel like responding to that. So if he puts pressure, I can always redirect. So changing direction becomes, again, another principle that we have to always do when we are guard passing, when we are wrestling, where we go in one direction, he does, we change direction, right? So what we was talking today in the morning, we learn to move our body, but also we learn to navigate the other person through application of weight in this case. So this is what we did. We looked at 2 submissions, all 3 submissions from like a north-south region. We looked at all strangles and one kimura, which was like a joint lock. So we looked at a kimura where we isolate the arm, go for the kimura, or we fall into the strangle, make an adjustment, again tighten the triangle, or maybe we are here. We looked at this one just to understand that this kind of movement can happen, but there are risks associated with it. This same move becomes more secure when I already have that underhook, right? So underhook still becomes really important. If I try to do the move without, I know I gave you the context that sometimes we are not able to dig through, but the moment I understand that there is nothing controlling him, the moment I make him sit up, he's running away, or he'll face and play guard into me. Right, so all of these things can happen, but just to understand that there is a possibility of this kind of a move. Right, so we looked at that. The value of having an underhook is always there. Right, so and from here we looked at setting up a triangle. It's called a reverse triangle or a rear triangle. From this position, staying on one side is important. If we try to throw the triangle where you are seated up, there's a lot of space. I'm also in a state of limbo. We want to be on one side, match my calf into his throat, and we start locking up, right? Isolating the arms, making adjustments, and here, not looking to really squeeze just my foot, but also my knee together, right? And capturing and getting the submission there. Yeah, so this is what we looked at. Go this one. Thank you.
Thank you.